Namaste, everybody. Welcome to the Bhagavad Gita launch. My name is Sandi Graham. I'm the CEO of VASA Publishing and co-director of VASA, the Vedic Academy of Science and Arts. We're here today not only to celebrate the launch of our new title, The Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive, translated by Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra, Rishi, but also to celebrate the people around the world who made this moment possible. It was 10 years in the making, and today we're going to tell you why. We're very grateful for our friends who are online, our esteemed guests, and our sponsors, and we want to share this moment with you. My co-host today is Satish K. Sharma. He's the General Secretary, National Council of Hindu Temples in the UK, and Chair of the British Board of Dharmic Scholars. He's a theologian, a Hindu philosopher, and yoga acharya. It gives me great pleasure to welcome Satish Sharma as our co-host for this auspicious occasion.
Pranam, namaskar, and greetings to everybody. Thank you so much, Sandi, and Kavindra ji, namaskar ji.
Namaskar.
16th of October, 5561 BC. A phrase was heard for the first time, and it strikes me as being a suitable occasion to start our proceedings with the same expression, Dharmakshetra Kurukshetra. It's an immense honor for me to be able to host this incredible event. And I'd just like to set the context in which many striking moments in Indian history occurred. Whenever a meaningful conversation between people of wisdom and of learning and seekers and teachers occurred, it's written in our scriptures that the heavenly celestial beings, the devas, they would all come to that gathering and sit in silence, awaiting to listen to the nectarine words that gurus and shishas would exchange. And so I'm sitting here looking at a small screen, but I'm aware that all around the world, we are being accompanied on this journey by a gathering of people who I feel are devas and devis. And so their blessings, I think, are going to be gratefully received to propel this incredible Gita Comes Alive translation, this radical interpretation that Jeffrey G has issued. If you'd all like to close your eyes for one moment and just recall gurus and teachers who have guided us and brought us to this moment, while I just remind everybody of Ganesh Ji, our Ganpati Ji, and ask for his blessings, not only for the event today, but also for the adventure that we're about to embark upon. Om Gang Ganpatiye Namaha. Om Akhanda Mandalakaram Vyaptam Yen Characharam. Tadpadam Darshitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Gurubhyo Namaha. We were hoping to be joined by Swami Gyananand ji of the GEO organization in Kurukshetra in India. But the timing of an event of this nature is challenging as it is. And Swamiji is fairly senior in his years, and it's almost midnight in India where he is. But he's very kindly and graciously sent us a message which he would like to play with us. If I can just introduce him briefly. His Holiness Mahamandleshwar Gita Manchi Swami Shri Gyananand Ji Maharaj. He's the founder of the Global Inspiration and Enlightenment Organization, affectionately known as GEO, of Bhagavad Gita and the Gita Gyan Sansthanam. This is the world's first Gita research university, and as could only be possible, it's based in Kurukshetra, the land of the Bhagavad Gita. And so here is Swamiji's message for us.
Om Prapanna Parijataya Totravetraika Panne Gyan Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Amritduhe Namah. Bhagavad Gita, the song celestial, is although over 5,000 years old. But the inspirations of Bhagavad Gita are not old. Ever fresh, ever green. And in reality, the messages of Bhagavad Gita are more relevant and prominent now than ever. In fact, Bhagavad Gita is inspiration for life. It is a divine gift given to the whole human society from Lord Krishna. No doubt, Gita is the holy scripture of Hindus, but it is not meant only for Hindus. Bhagavad Gita is pride scripture of India, but it is not for India only, not for Indians only. It is for the whole world, for the whole humanity. Bhagavad Gita is the answer of any problem whatsoever in life, in society, and anywhere. This is the reason Mahatma Gandhi described Bhagavad Gita, the book of answers. Not only Mahatma Gandhi, the great scholars, thinkers, philosophers, scientists such as Albert Einstein, Henry Miller, Huxley, Thoreau, Emerson, Schopenhauer, Carlyle, Sunita Williams, and so many others accepted Bhagavad Gita wholeheartedly. Bhagavad Gita is really a book that is the need of the time. Jio Gita is making its best dedicated efforts to spread the divine message of Bhagavad Gita all over the world. Jio Gita, Global Inspiration and Enlightenment Organization of Bhagavad Gita. Today, I'm glad and feeling honored to be here as part of this auspicious occasion. The launch of Bhagavad Gita comes alive. The works of Kavindra Rishi ji, who has dedicated his life to raising the awareness of Sanatan Dharma, truly are not admirable only, but inspirational also. In the Bhagavad Gita comes alive, we see a practical approach from Kavindra ji. Really, Kavindra Rishi ji has worked tirelessly to make Bhagavad Gita an easy and alive approach for all, and especially for English knowing society. Wishing Kavindra Rishi ji a long, healthy, blissful and blessed life. Lot of blessings for him. Kavindra ji, continue spreading the awareness through Bhagavad Gita. Live with Gita. Live according to Gita. and learn to live. जियो गीता के संग, सीखो जीने का ढंग. ओम ओम ओम.
Thank you, Swamiji, for those words. The concluding sentiment which Swamiji expressed was that if you live in accordance with the Gita, you will actually be living in accordance with life itself. And I think that's a wonderful message to take with us.
Thank you, Satish. Our next guest is a prominent Vancouver chef and hotel owner, founder of World Democracy Index, the world's biggest online political report card, and also the director of Gurukul Canada. Siddhartha recently received an award from the Indian Consul for his humanitarian work during the recent COVID events. While most restaurant businesses in particular, are suffering during this time, Siddhartha's is flourishing because he's always here to help other people in need. Please welcome Siddhartha Choudhary.
Namaskar, everybody. This is a very auspicious moment. And first of all, I would like to say thanks for this great opportunity that I'm able to talk on this lucky and very beautiful and auspicious day when the Gita is getting launched in Vancouver. It's a proud day for us. And just want to say a few words on the inauguration of the most correct, accurate, and most detailed Gita in the front of the Honorable Consulate General Mr. Manish Gupta ji, great poet, astrologer, writer, expert in Sanatan Dharma knowledge, and many more, Mr. Jeffrey Armstrong, Sandy Graham, who worked relentlessly, Mr. Manjesh ji, and many, many more prestigious guests around the globe. Gita is one key which can unlock many locks. When a person is devoted to something with complete faith, unity is his faith in that, then when his faith is completely unified, he gains the object of his devotion. It was a beautiful shloka written in the Gita and said by the Lord Krishna. So we finally have Gita, which is able to guide everyone without limitation of incapability of English, because when I spoke to Jeffrey ji a long time ago, he explained how the vocabulary of English was limiting the understanding of Gita properly. And I'm not sure 100% if I'm right or wrong, that it's been more than 20 years he's been working on this project. And the idea came for a long time ago, but at least 20 years, relentlessly, sleeplessly, many hours and nights you guys have spent on this. And I think how lucky we are that we can witness this moment in the same city when it's happening here. In my opinion, to come up with this beautiful book, I think this book is the one gift I would like to give it to everybody, instead of any other materials or some other type of gift. Keep it for myself, for my family and my friends. This book, we have seen many books in the market, but this is more easy to understand, and I have seen how it has been coming up. So I feel we are part of this, and the amount of energy you have put into this is inspiring us. And so many years of how to explain that thing, thought process and discussions what we were going through. Today is the day I can see it's coming out, and I can touch that piece. I can hold that beautiful Bhagavad Gita in my hand, and makes us feel proud, and definitely make you feel happy and proud too. Once again, I would like to say special thanks to everybody who has supported this great cause, and Jeffrey ji and Sandy ji, and especially to you guys. You have worked very hard, but this Gita is going to make everybody feel proud, give the light and the wisdom. and a lot of misunderstandings which people could not understand because of the translation it was lost in. This Gita is going to solve the purpose. This is most accurate, well detailed piece of art and knowledges. So I'm happy to witness this. And once again, I want to say thank you to everyone and hope many more books to come. Thank you.
Thanks very much. That was very kind of you to
Thank you,
say that.
Siddharth.
Our next guest is one of the most respected doctors in British Columbia. He has served as the medical director at the Fraser Health Regional Department of Laboratory Medicine for the last 20 years and division head of the medical biochemistry for over 30 years. He holds a Doctor of Philosophy in Biochemistry from the University of Saskatchewan, Doctor of Medicine from the University of British Columbia, Fellowship in Medical Biochemistry from the Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada, and is a Fellow of the American College of Pathologists. Pretty impressive, and he has done an amazing amount of work for the Hindu community. The UBC Department of Pathology awarded him the highest honors for a lifetime service. He co-founded the Canadian Indian Network Initiative, which brings awareness to the issue of cardiovascular disease and to the South Asian population. And he was recently just featured on the cover of the Dristi magazine for 50 years of dedicated healthcare service. Please welcome Dr. Arun Garg, a dear friend.
Namaskar. Thank you, Sandi, for this wonderful and eloquent introduction. Honored guests, friends, my dear friend Rishi, Jeffrey Armstrong, Sandi, this is wonderful. Words will not be able to express what each one of us feel. Words will not be able to certainly express how I feel. This is a very auspicious moment for all of us. And I'm so glad and I'm so thankful to both of you for making me part of it. This is a moment when Bhagavad Gita comes alive. This is the moment when Bhagavad Gita comes alive for millions of people who have missed part of it. It comes alive for me. I am a born Hindu from Bharat. I have spent 55 years in great nation, Canada. I was handicapped. Take back Canada of 1965 when I came. Question was asked, who are you? Tell me about Gita. Friends, I was speechless. I was not able to say because I didn't understand. So this has been a journey of 50 years for me. And Jeffrey was kind enough to show me, and I had a chance to read the pre-publication. And friends, I have to tell you, this is a translation which means a lot to all of us. And the rationale is very simple. Sanskrit is a language which cannot be translated easily. Sanskrit is a language which is very contextual. Context has to be there. The words has to be there. We are so fortunate that the Rishi, Jeffrey, has taken the time, the energy, and enthusiasm to translate and make it real. So not only Bhagavad Gita will come alive, it will make real. And for people like me, many millions of people whose Sanskrit and Hindi is not the first language, it will mean so big, so much. And in closing, I do want to also share some very special moment and thought. I met Jeffrey at a yoga meeting, and I was supposed to be participant in that meeting. Friends, forget it. I was with him for 2 hours, very deep discussion. And we have been friends ever since. and the essence of Gita. Essence of Gita is nothing more than health. As a medical doctor, I am so proud to be associated with this Vedic Sanskritic philosophy which gives us health, happiness, and harmony. Friends, in post-Vedic era, this knowledge is going to be of utmost importance to the whole humanity. So thank you, Jeffrey. Thank you, every one of you, to be part of it. And God bless us all. And Jeffrey, thanks again. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Garg.
Thank you, Dr. Garg, very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Arun Gargji. Your blessings as a health professional will carry this Gita many, many miles into the hands of many, many people. Of that, I'm absolutely confident. Thank you so much for that.
You touched
I think
on so many.
If destiny serves us well, very soon, many of us will have in our hands the finished product. But I think when the Gita arrives in your hands, we're going to be absolutely bowled over by the beauty, the quality of the workmanship, the incredible artwork, some of which you can see on the walls behind us. But I just wanted to take a moment to re-emphasize the enormous nature of the task that Jeffrey G undertook. If I start with a notion, I learned a few days ago that just for the one word elephant in Sanskrit, we have over 400 words. If you add to that, in our tradition of scholarship, before a person is authorized to write a single word, the person has to have studied the text deeply. The person then has to have explored the text with other masters of that text, and then churned it until wisdom starts to surface. Now imagine doing that in 2 languages. It's the journey of a lifetime. And so when you do read the Gita itself, the Gita Comes Alive edition, please bear in mind that behind that one production is actually a lifetime of tapasya. It's a truly mountain conquering feat. And when you do read it, please have in your heart a little moment of gratitude for Jeffrey G for having devoted so much of his life to this particular work. I spoke a moment of scholars who churn the oceans of wisdom and come up with gems which all of us then share. It's my great pleasure to introduce one such scholar to you who is with us today. I have the honor of being able to call him a dear friend, and we're looking forward to making mischief in the future as well. And the gentleman I'm speaking of is Professor Nilesh Nilkanth Oak. Now, Nilesh, where can I start with an introduction? Nilesh helps individuals become aware of the deep wisdom and the antiquity of Indian civilization so that they truly comprehend, present, or defend the grand narrative of this civilization. Unlike most other Indic researchers, he builds it through scientific acumen and unbelievably precise, scalpel-like logical reasoning. His books include 12209 BCE, which in the future I'm absolutely certain is going to be one of those pivotal texts. And it's concerned with the precise dating of the Ramayana epic. In the Bhishma Nirvan, Restoring Truths of Indian History, Nilesh employed over 300 very specific astronomy and associated observations from the Mahabharata text, and he tested them with the same scientific rigor and logical reasoning to arrive at a date of 5561 BCE as the year of the Mahabharata war. The book that I've just mentioned describes evidence that asserts the impossibility of the Mahabharata war at any time after 4700 BCE. The Bhishma Nirvan plus the lunar calendar evidence is appropriate and relevant, or 5125 BCE, a sensitivity analysis supporting that date. The evidence presented in this book decisively establishes that other alternate claims for the year of the Mahabharata war do not bear sufficient scrutiny. His book, When Did the Mahabharata War Happen? explores unique astronomical observations from the Mahabharata text that again support a conclusion which proves 96% of all existing claims for the year of the Mahabharata as not again standing scrutiny. So we have in front of us one of those rare scholars who is a master of many, many disciplines. And it's all of those disciplines which have come together to give us the foundation for today's event, 16th of October, 5561, as the date upon which the scripture itself was first articulated. And what could be more serendipitous than to have Nilesh with us today? Nilesh, it's an absolute pleasure to introduce you to the gathering. Please share some of your thoughts with us with regard to the Gita Comes Alive.
Thank you, Pandit Satish ji. You gave us a wonderful example of elephant and the fact that it has 400 different words. We also have, Sanskrit also creates another beauty and therefore another challenge, which is one specific word can actually mean many things depending on the context. And that is when we need the Guru Parampara, but we also need people like Kavindra ji, Jeffrey Armstrong ji, who have studied. I mean, we are hearing different numbers, 10 years and 20 years. I mean, he's studying this for 50 plus years, right? I'll add another number. All right, so my greetings to Kavindra Rishi ji, Jeffrey Armstrong ji, Sandi Graham, and the entire team who made it happen. This was not an easy task. On the sidelines, I'm seeing all the developments and all the challenges. And so I was in a small way part of it. Greetings to everyone. And Pandit Satish ji explained the date and I hope that everyone remembers it. But as a particular day that we are celebrating today is the 7581st anniversary of Gita Jayanti. Now this is computed in the Julian calendar computation, like as a calendar 16 October. Now it was instructed by Bhagavan Krishna to Arjuna on that 16 October 5561 BCE. And so today is again 16 October and therefore we are celebrating it. That's why the occasion was chosen. Now in the astronomy speak, not everything gets repeated, but we are also fortunate something very interesting that I want to just point out. In fact, Jeffrey mentioned it at the beginning that today is also Amavasya. And when the Mahabharata war began, it was not exactly the same lunisolar Amavasya, but it was also Amavasya. It was a Kartik Amavasya. And today also we happen to have Amavasya. Now Gita itself talks of, within itself, talks of its very ancient message that Krishna says was lost, was what was covered, was camouflaged, was twisted to some extent because of the ravages of time. Now I'm talking of Krishna, talking of the ancient message 7,500 years ago. Now that has partly happened in this case, not so much because of time, but because of translations. Now translations also has a value. So there are, as many of us know, there are many English translations and they are useful, they were useful. And that's how many people became aware of Bhagavad Gita, even though they did not know Sanskrit, as Dr. Garg mentioned. However, just like what the time did to the message of Bhagavad Gita by the time of the Mahabharata, and therefore Krishna had to say it again. The very act of translation also leads to these challenges. And Panditji mentioned that one word having multiple parallel words, or one word in Sanskrit which means multiple things, and that can make things unclear. And add to that, translating from one language to another across sometimes the cultural barriers, sometimes the wisdom barriers. And in that context, the message of, or the translation, Gita Comes Alive of Jeffrey G becomes very important. Okay, I will, so many people will talk about it. So I'll not talk about the book itself. I have seen it through the editions, of course, through the drafts. But I am convinced that Jeffrey's translation is a must for any student, every student, on their study shelf, on their study desk, who is interested, curious, and a student of ancient wisdom in general, and Bhagavad Gita and India's wisdom in particular. So with that, I will give it back to you, Panditji.
Thank you so much, Nilesh. It was a great honor for you to write the foreword in the book. And I was rereading it when it came in yesterday, and it really did touch my heart. So thank you again. It's precious.
These divine convergences are part of the Sangha that is unfolding in the world we're living in. It's just beginning to do the beautiful things it's going to do. So thank you.
Satish, I think we have our VIP guests available now.
How extraordinary. That's absolutely wonderful. Thank you for that little note. Allow me to welcome our VIP guest from the Government of India, the Consul General Representative in Canada, Shri Manish. Most welcome. Mr. Manish is a career diplomat. He joined the Indian Foreign Service in 1997. In his over 22 years of a diplomatic career, he served in very high-profile positions, the Indian missions in Moscow, Tashkent, Prague, Colombo, and Jakarta. We're blessed to have a linguist with us. He speaks Hindi, English, and Russian, and holds an honors degree in physics and a bachelor's of law degree from the University of New Delhi in India. In between his overseas assignments, he served in New Delhi at the Ministry of External Affairs, first as an undersecretary in the US and Canada Division and the Foreign Services Institute, and then served as Deputy Secretary in the United Nations Political Division from August 2004 to July 2007. Prior to being appointed to his current role as India's Consul General in Vancouver, he served as Joint Secretary in the Sushma Swaraj Institute of Foreign Services from November 2017 to April 2018, and then as Joint Secretary managing India's bilateral relations with the ASEAN countries, Australia, New Zealand, and Pacific Island countries from April 2018 to November 2019. As Joint Secretary overseas Indian Affairs from November 2019 to August 2020, he implemented policies for engagement with the global Indian diaspora. Manish is passionate about traveling in sports and cuisine. He's deeply interested in strategic, trade and commercial and development cooperation issues. As a councillor, economic and commercial at the High Commission of India in Colombo from 2010 to 2013, he represented India at the Colombo Plan Secretariat and South Asia Cooperative Environment Programme, SACEP. During the chairmanship of Indonesia of Indian Ocean Rim Association from 2015 to 2017, he had the privilege to represent India in various senior officers' meetings of IORA. It is my great pleasure to welcome Shri Manish to our gathering. Manish, please do take the floor.
Thank you, Pandit Satish Sarmaji, for the generous introduction. Honored guest, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure for me to join on this book launch ceremony, which has been specially prepared for Mr. Jeffrey Armstrong, who has translated Bhagavad Gita. I'm really honored to be invited today as a guest and speak to you. After hearing views of very wise and learned guests, it is very difficult for me as a bureaucrat to comment on the teachings and philosophy contained in Bhagavad Gita. But one lesson which I have always learned out of Bhagavad Gita since my childhood, which still continues with me, is Karm kiye ja, phal ki iksha mat kar. Do your job and don't wait for the fruits of your work to fructify. So I have imbibed this in my life and try to follow it. And I'm told that Mr. Armstrong is a multifaceted and highly accomplished author who, among other things, has been teaching Veda for over 40 years. And Bhagavad Gita, as you know, is the sacred text of all Indians, and many authors and have translated it in many languages. But I would take this opportunity to compliment Mr. Armstrong on what I am told is a unique translation of the Bhagavad Gita, and it has been over 10 years in preparation. So congratulations, Mr. Armstrong, that your patience and perseverance and your karma is being fructified today, as one of our earlier speaker told, that today is the auspicious day, 16th October, and it was chosen very carefully to launch your translation. I'm certain that your work will find general acceptance among theologists, academicians, as well as general public. And your publication will be well received not only in Canada, which is like India is also a multi-ethnic and multi-religious and multi-faith society, but in other parts of the world, and will contribute positively in informing and educating people about the Hindu philosophy. And to end my short comment, I would once again like to congratulate each and every one of you who is associated with the project, the author, the publisher, and all your friends and colleagues who have helped you in putting together this book. And I would, whenever I get a chance, I would also go through your translation for benefiting and out of it. Thank you very much from Consul General of India in Vancouver and all my colleagues here, and wish you and a very success and on the launch of your book.
Thank you, sir. It is for us, with you speaking and being present, as if the whole spirit of Bharat is also here with us. And you, as that representative, are a true karma yogin of the highest order. So we're very grateful and thank you for attending.
I would like to also mention that we were hoping to have books in your hand for this launch, but unfortunately they are delayed in the shipping from India. So as soon as they land, you will have them courier to your office. And thank you very kindly for being with us today. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you. So this brings us to the inner part of our sandwich. We have an opportunity now to hear from Jeffrey. But if I can just share one or two ideas. This text itself was referred to by Sri Krishnaji as Guham, which means hidden, secret. And every generation, every eon has to find a way, a voice to make that secret available to more and more people. The muse who has been able to do this in this generation is with us. Where do I start in my introduction of Jeffrey? Oh, a long time ago, decades ago, I stumbled into a conference at Imperial College in London. And on the stage was this rather ascetic looking chap with a paler complexion than I was expecting. And he spoke about many of the tales of Bharat and Sanatan Dharma. And straight away, I was infected with his passion, his enthusiasm, but more than that, his capacity to capture in so few words ideas, emotions, and understandings, which were deeply touching, which had the capacity to make you stop and think. And on many, many occasions since then, a poem has popped up in my inbox from Jeffrey, and I've read it, and I've almost every time felt how relevant, how pertinent, how incredible. Thank you so much. That person has conceived of the project of releasing this Guham Vidya to us, and being one of the few people who had an opportunity to experience bathing in it before it was released, an opportunity to play with it and allow it to play with me, I can give everybody an absolute assurance that you won't be disappointed. I'm certain that if you read it once, twice, 3 times, it will unlock within you everything that it's actually intended to deliver to you. Jeffrey, I could speak about your contribution, about your work, about the delightful, mischievous adventures we've had traipsing around various parts of the globe, from the harsh highlands of Scotland to Malaysia to India. But what I'd really love to do is to give you an opportunity to speak with everybody, and for everybody else then to have more time towards the end of the session to share questions and answers. On that note, I would ask everyone, if you do have questions that you'd like to share, please pop them in the chat window. One of the technical team will be curating the questions, and the ones that are the most scintillating, the ones that are the most enrapturing, the ones that are the most intriguing will be nominated and submitted to Jeffrey G for him to answer them. So please get your minds working and thinking on that. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, elders, sons and daughters, it's my absolute honor. I'm deeply, deeply grateful for the opportunity to introduce you to Shri Kavindra Rishi Ji, Jeffrey Armstrong Ji. Please share with us a little bit about the journey which culminated in the Gita Comes Alive.
I just want to bask for a moment in the beauty and wisdom of your words. In Sanskrit, there's a term for someone who speaks the truth reliably, consistently, and eloquently, and it is pandita. It is someone who is the clearest channel for this amazing truth that we're all so very hungry for. As you can imagine, my journey began, there's a mantra to the guru that I always like to begin with. My journey began in what I would like to call the darkness of not knowing, in a civilization full of, in some ways, very sincere people, but could I call them in terms of wisdom, very young. And so in spite of often sincerity of purpose and hopefulness that they would do something useful, it was still devoid of some vitamin that I was automatically seeking from a very young age. It was only the gurus and acharyas from India, from Bharat, who finally fed me this nectar of higher wisdom and truth that satisfies the deepest hunger of our personal being. So the Sanskrit mantra to appreciate such gurus is Omagana Timirandasya Ganangana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Gena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was blind and I really could not see, and at my request, my gurus forced open my eyes with the torchlight of divine Vedic knowledge, Vidya. This happened to me multiple times, from my professor of Sanskritam, Ramanath Sharma, from my guru of Jyotish, M.K. Gandhi, from my Vedanta guru, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, from so many great acharyas. This hunger has been fed. Before that, like much of my companions in the Western world, feeling this deficiency, I studied philosophy, got a degree in psychology, English literature, poetry. I was struck very much by the French existentialists who, after the destruction of World War II, spoke very eloquently about our dilemma as individuals in an often crazy world. And a gentleman named Kierkegaard wrote a book whose title sort of says it in one sentence. It was called Fear and Trembling, the Sickness unto Death. What are we afraid of is the philosophical question. What is this dilemma? And what is remarkable is that the Vedic knowledge is not a religion, though religions are wonderful, having some wisdom in them. Wherever there is wisdom, we Vedics bow and say, oh, wonderful, you have some wisdom. But it's addressed differently. You're supposed to join something. But the Vedic Vidya does not want us to join something. It wants us to enhance something. And that is our individual existence. It wants to empower us to such a degree that we have a direct connection to the highest understanding. So in order to make this clear to us, Bhagavan Sri Krishna, the avatar of the ultimate and supreme reality, appeared in our midst, arranged an amazing geopolitical situation in the country we now call India. And with a cast of millions, set up a context in which to speak to us in a very concise conversation. On the eve of a battle, have we got your attention? In the midst of a most beautiful culture, a remarkable civilization, full of wonders and beauties in every direction you look. But in the midst of this, the human condition was still present. Our possibility for being as evil and destructive as we can be. Duryodhana, the one who is a dirty fighter. And his opposite, Yudhishthira, one who is steady in truth and dharma in the midst of every struggle and situation, and shows love and compassion and wisdom for all living beings. On our worst day, we can become Duryodhana. On our best day, we can be Yudhishthira. The question is, can we take charge of that process and consistently represent the highest truths? This is our existential dilemma. And so, Bhagavan Sri Krishna spoke to Arjuna, essentially an essential yogic user's manual that is brief, concise, covers all the important topics, says everything that everyone needs to know to perfect their own individual existence on this amazing journey that we're all on. And this namaste means I see you are an amazing being on that journey too. And we offer this to every living entity to encourage them and to say to them, I see you. You're amazing. You've signed up for this. Now, if you'd like, we could share secrets. We could share truths. We could share dharma. We could get to the very essence of everything and try to use our individuality to cooperate together for the well-being of all the living entities on this amazing planet. We could do that together. In fact, we cannot do it alone. Alone, we can only do little bits of it. But look what it feels like when we come together like this. What if, instead of becoming hateful in our political selves, what if we have the hunger for truth and desire and the well-being of the maximum beings? So for sure, this is the intention, purpose, and meaning of the Bhagavad Gita. It is not a religion. You cannot join it. But you can do it with millions of people. But you must do it. And you must do it because your hunger is to live as a truth teller, as a truth doer, as someone whose actions reflect their thoughts and ideas, and as one who cares about the well-being of every living being, who sees them all in their magnificence and inspires that to come out. So, without going too far down this road, I just want to say to you that when this wisdom was given to me, I was so grateful that I had to find something to give back. As a matter of fact, I found there was really no other thing in this world that inspired me than to do something with the gift of this wisdom that I was given. When I first met my guru in 1969, because I had been a lit and English and poetry major, he gave me the task of helping to translate the books he was bringing into English. I knew no Sanskrit. I knew nothing of what I was really doing. I was making his translations as reasonable and readable as possible. But over the ensuing years, I came to see what was obstructing us from hearing Bhagavan. And this eventually emerged 10 years ago as the project to remove all the language from the presentation of the conversation between Bhagavan and Arjuna that might obstruct it, obscure it, distort it, or be incorrect to its meaning. And so by that time, Sandi and I were together and teaching full time in the world, but this became my greatest hunger, her greatest hunger, that this knowledge could become so clear that everyone could make it their own. And for this reason, I have not made explanations or purports. There's no lineage particularly to this translation. It is an effort to present it as if the reader is simply present as the third party in their existential dilemma, present and fortunately listening to Bhagavan Sri Krishna and Arjuna discuss the most important truths of existence.
Can you imagine somebody speaking a conversation that is so important that 7,000 years later, people are still wanting to hear it?
And so my beloved and I have conspired together to simply do this little bit of service to clear this in English, because English is affecting so many people right now for obvious reasons. Sadly, because of colonization, but India, Bharat, is such an amazing culture. As soon as the colonization had taken almost everything, had flattened the economy, damaged the culture horribly, they said, wait, you forgot something. And their gurus like Vivekananda and all of the great acharyas who came here came across with, my guru had $5 and a suitcase full of books when he got here at age 73 in cold New York with no jacket. And each of these great acharyas stood and started to speak, and the world listened. When Vivekananda spoke at the World Conference of Religions in Chicago, the silence was a stunned silence at the truth of what he had said. And the applause was the realization that the gift of wisdom was Bharat's response to being almost destroyed. Here, you forgot the crown jewels. I was given those crown jewels from the hand of an acharya, from the hand of someone who only lived to embody that vidya. Each of these examples that I have seen now in the 50 years that I've been practicing this culture have shown me by their personal example the existential dilemma changes when you are not afraid, when you are an immortal being and you know it. When you behave with concern for all living entities, you don't have to write the ending, it's already written. All you have to do is be true. So what Sandi and I finally saw together, partly because of our love story, because we found a way to do this together with our mutual abilities, is that yes, in some ways the Mahabharata is couched in a conflict, but it is actually a love story. Please don't call the Mahabharata conflict a war, because in wars we kill women and children and innocents and we destroy civilizations. That is not what happened in the past. A bunch of soldiers from two viewpoints got on a football field and killed each other, and the farmers nearby were safe. The farmers a quarter mile away were safe. This was not a war. This was a conflict to get our attention from Bhagavan the ultimate being, speaking to our proxy, Arjuna, whose amazing partner Draupadi, together with he, are the ideal exemplars of human perfection. This, my beloveds, is a love story, couched in the midst of a conflict. And through it, we are being invited to become wise, fearless, kind, truthful, to live a healing and healthy life for the whole planet, and show and teach by our personal examples. You cannot join this, but you can decide to be this. And it is our hope that the Bhagavad Gita comes alive just by being clear enough will let you have this three-person conversation with Bhagavan and Arjun and go into the chambers of your heart and decide who you are and what you want to do with being here. I think I'm going to stop there. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I like to say to Jeffrey, you know, the Gita, we say the Gita took 10 years. Well, it is true, Nilesh, it did take a lifetime for him and probably a few lifetimes. But when you read this Gita, you're going to read it in about 4 to 5 hours the first day, and you can read it for the rest of your life every day. It just depends how deep you want to go. And like an Aikido master who has worked on his craft for years and years and been thrown to the mat 1,000 times to make it look easy, Jeffrey Armstrong has, I can't tell you the amount of work and dedication that he has put in to make it easy for us to read. So I want to share with you now a few people that have helped make this possible and have helped make the book so beautiful. People from all over the world helped with this. And I'm going to rearrange the order because we lost somebody from India. It's after midnight there. And I just want to check, is Vasant Goel on the line? Vasant, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, wonderful. I'm going to start with you first because I know it's late and I really appreciate you being on. So let me start there. Vasant Goel, everybody, is from Gobson Printers in Noida, India. He's one of the key players in the global book printing business. Their clients include Harvard, Cambridge, Oxford University presses, along with Penguin Books, HarperCollins, and McGraw-Hill. And now he's delivered an absolutely stunning book for VASA Publishing. Even though we're a very small customer by comparison, he treated us as if we were just as important. Vasantji, I have one question to ask you. I know we put you through a million changes, it seems like, but tell us what it was like to work on this book.
Oh, thank you very much. Sandi ji, first I would like to congratulate you and Mr. Jeffrey Armstrong for such a beautiful book. And thank you very much for the opportunity to be a part of this wonderful project. And yeah, it was, I could feel the energy that you have put in this book. You know, we were able to communicate well, and it was wonderful. It just, yeah, the book, oh, here's my copy as well.
I know we're all fondling it
Show me
today.
your data.
We just got it in air freight yesterday.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. And when I received my first copy, I was so thrilled, so thrilled. And I remember these lot of late night conversations we had to and fro, email communications, but in the end, everything was it just came out beautiful. I'm so glad to be a part of this project. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Thank you. Well, you were definitely Krishna's blessings. I interviewed about 5 different printers along with one of our dear sponsors and advisors, Shri Chandak. And we decided that you were our guy. So Krishna's blessings. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
All the Shaktis and Devis work with you to make this beautiful work of art.
Please give Mayank our regards as well. I know it's late for him. He was very instrumental as well. Thank
Right,
you.
surely. Thank you. Thank you.
We've lost a very special guest because of the time zone, and that's Shiv Sagar. And I don't know if he's been able to come back on, but Jeffrey, would you want to tell what happened with Shiv Sagar?
Yes, we met Shiv years ago at a conference in Gujarat and have been friends with him ever since. He is the grandson of the Sagar family, who are so justly famous for the amazing presentation of the Ramayana as a film. And when it ran first, the whole of India would come to a halt. And because there weren't televisions everywhere, everyone would be at some place where they could watch a television and the next episode would play. So we've been friends with this amazing creative family who played such a divine role in the great epic story reaching out to the world. Shiv is the grandson of the grandfather, Ramanand, who was responsible for that epic becoming a film. So such a pioneer. But Shiv is also continuing to hold the torch for the Sagar family and as a filmmaker and so forth. So when this happened and the Gita became available, what we didn't consider is that as they all went out, some to us and to other places, because he's in Mumbai, a copy went to him right away. So interestingly and ironically and divinely enough, he got the very first copy. He, the grandson of the family that brought the epic to the world visually, got the first copy. And what the first thing we heard from him was, I can't put it down.
He posted it on Instagram, and within an hour it had over 1,200 likes with people wanting to buy the book in India. Unfortunately, we're not ready to print in India yet. We still haven't landed it here, but it was a very sweet and beautiful moment that it ended up going to Bharat first, even before we got to touch it. So it was very sweet. All right, I'd like to continue with some dear people have become dear friends, and another person, Brandon Daniel from Viewpoint Studios. He was our graphic layout and typesetter. He's originally from Belgium, and he now lives in Scotland, and he specializes in graphic design, printing, and publishing. And believe it or not, I found him on Fiverr after interviewing numerous other candidates. Brandon was just at the top of the list. He never got upset at any of our changes or the digital work of typesetting in a language that he wasn't familiar with, and all the diacritics that had to be checked in every single word. And the funny thing is that I knew he was my guy when we got excited about talking about fonts, I think, which we discussed for days. So Brandon, tell us what it was like to work on this project.
Thank you, Sandy, for this introduction. So when I got the job, I didn't really know what I was going to start. It was only after a few weeks that it was clear to me how massive, how immense the task was going to be. And I think in the beginning, you gave me 3 weeks to finish the book. I think we almost managed to do it in 3 weeks. So, but yeah, it was incredible to work on the book. It was very challenging in every way. The 701 verses all had to be numbered in 2 different ways. The transliteration of the Sanskrit with all the diacritics, the English text, the navigation through the book, the glossary, the indexing. I think one day I've worked over 19 hours on that book, and I remember that at 2 o'clock in the middle of the night in Scotland time, we Zoom called, Sandy, you and me. And yeah, the day after we still worked. So this book for a typographer is really a dream job. It's something I've never could have dreamt of getting to do. this book is not only unique because of the unique translation. I think it also breaks boundaries in the convention of typography. We tried new things. We tried things that I think would never be done in a book like this or in a translation. Yeah, it was just a wonderful project to work on, and getting this book to the printer, you would think that's the job done, but then you have the stress of, is it gonna be printed how we want it? And of course, Gobsons did a very good job. I don't have a copy in my hands yet, but
I'll fondle it for you.
Thank you. But I seen the clips on Facebook, so very happy with that. Just thank you so much, Sandi and Jeffrey, for giving me the opportunity to work on this book via Fiverr of all places, and thank you for incorporating me with all these wonderful people. I'm really honored to have worked on this project with you and actually still working on it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks so much. We're working on an app so that we're gonna call it Gita on the Go, so that you can put it on your phone, and it'll be part of a membership program that we're developing that I'll discuss that later, but it's not quite ready yet, but we'll let everybody know as soon as it's ready, and our inner group will be the first one to have access to this. The other person that
just one thing, I've heard that Brandon has already memorized 6 chapters and is working on the 7th. Thank you, Brandon.
He probably has. Our next person, I just can't thank enough, and that's Shounak Tewarie from Art as Well. I'd been searching online for years for the right art. We had actually tested 2 previous covers, and neither one were quite right. I didn't want the traditional Krishna art that is associated with every other Gita. I wanted something that felt universal and contemporary and didn't feel so masculine and warlike. And then I discovered Shounak's art when I was looking for wall art for our new apartment. The complexity of his digital imagery combined with the Vedic tradition were very opulent, and his images came alive. I had to contact him. I was thrilled when he agreed to meet, and even more when he understood the project's spiritual significance. We can't thank him enough for creating this magnificent piece of art for this particular Bhagavad Gita. Shounak, what was it like for you to work on this book? You need to unmute.
Yes, namaste Jeffrey, namaste Sandi, namaste everyone. Well, thank you so much for making me part of this lifetime work of both of you. It's for me, like Jeffrey explained the Gita, for me this is also like a part of me. The art I could make for you both, for this book, for the Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive, is literally being me in a frame on a book cover. So it was for me when Sandi connected me, the job wasn't really hard because like on the spiritual level, but also on emotional level, I felt right away that you were seeking so long for something to point out and to bring alive. And I felt it right away. And for me, art is who I am. I sense it and I make it. So when I talked to Sandi, it was for me really like 1 + 1 = 2. You know, it was like magic.
I said, I'm in love with you too, Shounak.
And I said, there are artists and then there are visionaries. And you, my friend, are a visionary. Remarkable what you've done.
Thank you. No, but for me, it was really like Brandon just told himself, I never understood the impact of how great and how big this is going to be. And while we were doing the process in the beginning, I was like, it's going to be just a book cover and nothing more. But this is radically, this is going to change the whole being of the Gita. But also, I think, like former speakers have said, it's going to change the thinking and being of humanity as well. So for me, the Gita was always like a nice war story. But when I met Jeffrey and he explained to me the love story, it made more and more sense to me. And thank you, Jeffrey, for always being a real guru and someone who can explain everything and simplify the most difficult things just in a few words, and it really touches my heart. Every time I hear you, it makes me feel really good for being who I am. So thank you for that. And Sandi, also thank you for both of you being in my life, and hopefully you can work on much more covers together. And all the whole team who's making this book possible. Thank you so much.
You can count on it. You can count on it. Thank you so much.
Shounak ji, if I may just add one extra little word. When I had a look through, I had in my mind that we're dealing with sacred imagery. And it's not, sacred imagery is not conventional art. Sacred imagery, an eyebrow out of place can suddenly convey a totally different meaning to the shloka. And so when I worked my way through, I was deeply, deeply moved at the manner in which you've captured the sentiment and some of the feelings behind it. So I'd just like to add my thanks to you too. Sandiji, would it be possible for you to perhaps just show one or two of the plates? Because a number of people are asking, can we have a look at some of the pages, please? So if you could share them, if it's possible. I know it's not going to do justice on a webcam, but if you could share some of the plates, that would be really lovely.
What we did different in this book is that we numbered the verses 1 to 700. And so for the reader, you can go back to verse 535 and memorize it. We also made the Sanskrit a little bit lighter, different fonts, so that the text, you can read it continuously and it doesn't interfere with the read. So you're reading it like a novel. The glossary at the back, Jeffrey is well known for his glossaries in his book, all of his books, but this one in particular is incredibly laid out, and this is Brandon's genius. So the word would be here, and Sanskrit words that couldn't be translated word for word give you a deeper meaning of it. For example, a really big one is that every single Gita, and this is what Jeffrey was alluded to, has been using colonized English. So every Gita has the word soul in it for Atma, where soul means it's in the context of a one lifetime. Atma means you are eternal. And so we used Atma throughout the book. And there are many Sanskrit words in the text which are delineated by single quote marks with a brief definition right after the word. So it reads smoothly. You don't have to go to the glossary, but know that if you do go to the glossary, you get a real deep understanding. So the indexing, I mean, everything is just laid out beautifully. It's a really unusual layout, and we did it for the ease of the reader. Although we are challenging the reader to learn about 200 new Sanskrit words, that will give you a deeper understanding. Let me go back to, there's one more person I want to mention in this collective group of our artisans behind the scenes, and I haven't mentioned her yet, and I don't even know if she's online, but I didn't want to neglect Antonina. When we first started working on the book concept, I didn't have it quite solid. All I had was Shounak's artwork. And so it was Antonina who actually helped me develop how we wanted to look, to have the cover look. And then we turned it over to Brandon to do the actual putting together. But I wanted to thank Antonina for all of the marketing materials that she's done. Everything that you see out on Facebook with the people holding the book and all of this, that's Antonina. So Antonina, I don't know if you're online, but I can't thank you enough. Jeffrey and I are so grateful how fast you were when you did that work for us. So thank you. I also want to mention to our graphic artists that the book has been entered into 2 international book awards, both 2 for the book content and 1 of them for the book cover. So we'll know in spring, and if I see more places to enter, I will. And I've already had initial excitement from a couple of them behind the scenes saying, oh my God. So we're very excited about it. All right, there are other people behind the scenes that I want to thank. And these are the people real critical to our program. One of them, Pete McCormack. I don't know if he's on. It's his little daughter's birthday today. But this Vancouver Sun called Pete a modern day Renaissance man. He's been a friend of Jeffrey's for a long time. He's an award-winning filmmaker, novelist, screenwriter, musician, poet, and producer. And he's been a student of Jeffrey's now for about 14 years. And he's worked on several of our books before, but he has an extremely busy life. He's got 2 rambunctious children and a wife with busy company. And yet he jumped at the chance. He said, no, I want to be the one. I want to edit. I want to look at it. And he's such a talented writer that we're just grateful that he took time out of his life to give seva to his Guruji. And I just wanted to mention him. I don't know, Pete, if you're online, just know we love you. You'll see this recording afterwards. Thank you so very much.
There's so many great people whose contribution isn't always visible, and the author just gets thanked, or the publisher, but we really want them all to know that without them, this miracle would not have occurred.
Our main editor and just Jeffrey's assistant on the project was Andrea Goldsmith. She has such a knack for languages. She, she's been a student of Jeffrey's for a long time, has easily picked up the Sanskrit. And at the end, we used to tease her that she's our new Sanskrit scholar. Of course, even Jeffrey wouldn't say he's a Sanskrit scholar, but it's just a private joke. Andrea, thank you so very much. There was also Sue Chambers, who came in afterwards. We sent what we thought was a beautiful finished manuscript, and it came back from her with red marks all over it for all the commas and punctuation we missed. So Sue Chambers was integral in our process. Prahlad, Paul Hansen, our Sanskrit editor, worked with us for hours and hours and hours on the text to check the typesetting and make sure we had it all right. Paul, there you are. Thank you so very much. What was it like to work on this project? I want to ask you because you are a very busy man.
Yes, hi, and thank you very much. I don't have anything prepared, so I'm just gonna off the cuff here, but it was wonderful. I mean, I love the Gita, I love Sanskrit. It was a wonderful opportunity to be of service. I met Jeffrey G about 43 years ago now, so it's been quite a long time. And he imparted Vedic knowledge to me, and I've always changed my life. I've always cherished that. It's been a wonderful thing. And with regards to the book, I'm really hoping that the book will be wildly successful, and it really can help a lot of people, I feel. And I just hope everything goes well to get it out to everyone. From a Sanskrit point of view, well, the Gita translation is Jeffrey's, and I really did not want to change any of it. It's beautiful in my estimation. I also was struck by his innovative idea of introducing so many Sanskrit words into English. And so in my small way, I wanted to facilitate that and make it systematic, because most Sanskrit words are just by chance got into English. And this was a chance to bring them in systematically. So that was the main goal for me. And I thank you very much.
Thank you, Prahlad.
Thank you very much.
Another young lady, well, I mentioned Sue Chambers, Prahlad. And just nobody ever mentions this, but I wanted to say that our books are late, and I have to apologize to everybody that has ordered a book. The shipping with the COVID situation coming from India has delayed us yet another, perhaps a couple more weeks. And so we're still looking now at the middle of November. So there are 3 ladies that I want to mention. Nobody ever mentions them, but I think they're the 3 ladies that are bringing the book home. And this is Carolina, Susan, and Wendy from Vanguard Logistics and Overseas Container Forwarding. We've been working with the Indian shippers for a while, and it was just so difficult to get a ship. I didn't really understand why in the beginning. They just couldn't load or unload. But these 3 ladies just got it together. They got us a ship, and we're booked on it. And I just wanted to say, for those of you that are ordering books, 2 things. Our shipping right now looks very high on our site, but don't forget, for the US, we're in Canadian dollars. So a $28 book is a Canadian $28. And we will refund anybody the extra if their back-end system has overcharged you at the moment. We're working on getting that fixed. So make sure you get your books. on the first run. I think we're going to run out of books, which is a nice problem to have. And I'd like to thank all the people who bought the Patron versions, the $108 versions, which is signed and numbered and limited to 500 editions. This one really jump-started our publishing of this, so thank you.
Yeah, I just need to add to this that Sandi and Andrea have worked 12, 14-hour days, and there's just so much to do when single-handedly you try to bring a book out globally like this. We don't have a team of people and millions of dollars. This is a bootstrap project, and Sandi and the others have just done a marvelous job.
I know we're running close to time, so I would like to wind up by saying there's some very special people we'd like to thank. Our financial partners, Sewa International, Shrinarayan Chandak, the Palan Foundation, Nitin and Kamu Palan in the UK, the Hindu University of America, the Marianda Foundation, Sashi Karjiwal, Vijay Palod, Gurukul Canada, and the many VASA supporters over the years. Some of you will be surprised to see your name in the book. And to those I missed, be assured that Krishna will remember even if I forgot. We'd like to thank each and every one of you who purchased advance copies. And now I'd like to give some gifts away. We promised that we would give away 5 free books. So for everybody who shares, I'm going to pull 5 names and we're going to read them off, and we will contact you and get a free copy of the Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive to you. Laura Plum, Healer Russ, oh my goodness, Swagnaman Parivan Villa Sirimam. Boy, that's a mouthful.
South India.
Pardeep Ji in Kuala Lumpur, and Hemant Joshi. So these are our 5 winners. We will get books out to you. Thank you, everybody who shared. The other thing I'd like to do in a closing is let a lovely lady have the last word. And I'd like to introduce Andrea Goldsmith to you, who is now my full-time assistant and was Jeffrey's main editor, to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do with the Bhagavad Gita membership program coming up. Andrea, thank you so much. And by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Same day as the Bhagavad Gita was spoken.
Yes, you'll never forget.
Exactly. So along with the launch of our new book, we are offering a new membership program and learning community with amazing long-term benefits. The flagship or centerpiece of this membership program is a new weekly course that Jeffrey has agreed to teach. He will take us on a deep dive into the Bhagavad Gita that is only possible in a weekly long-term format. He will explain all the nuances and subtleties of the Bhagavad Gita, excavate it layer upon layer, and all the reasons why this new translation is radical. From Radha, of course, the Sanskrit, the linguistics, the decolonization, the Vedic wisdom and cosmology. And of course, each class will have time dedicated to questions and answers with Kavindra ji. Jeffrey has not been teaching weekly classes for quite some time now. And for those of us who know him, we know what a treat and a profound learning experience this will be. For those of us who are not that familiar with Jeffrey's teachings, this is an unprecedented opportunity to sit with an accomplished master and guru and to study the Bhagavad Gita directly with the translator, someone who has been studying this essential scripture for 50 years. The weekly class will only be offered within this new membership program. We are asking you to make a commitment to your learning journey, just as we are to yours. The price will be extremely reasonable, and it comes with a lot of extra benefits, including unlimited access to the Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive Foundations video course, a professional quality 8-class, 24-part video series, unlimited access to professional quality recordings of the new weekly Bhagavad Gita course in case you miss one or want to listen to one again and again, which you will. A new tool we have discovered called Searchy, the ultimate self-learning tool with fully searchable transcripts of all video recordings. It's amazing. You have to see it to believe it. The Gita on the Go, which Sandi mentioned earlier, a new online or phone app, Bhagavad Gita with a hyperlinked Sanskrit glossary, exclusive access to our members only Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive Learning Sangha or community on Facebook. And as a special bonus, a never before offered year-long 50% discount on Jeffrey's entire audio and video course library. This alone is worth the price of the membership. We will be offering individual and family memberships, and your first month is free if you sign up before November 1st. The first class starts on Wednesday, November 4th, so mark it in your calendar. We are still finalizing the final details of the program and the website, but we will be sending out more information after today's event and in the next few days. We have a sign up link on the Gita Comes Alive website, which we ask you to register at today to be kept in the loop. And we hope you won't miss this once in a lifetime opportunity for this special darshan with Kavindra Rishi and to join the Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive Sangha. Now I'm going to take a second to slip in my pranams and admiration to Jeffrey Armstrong, Kavindra Rishi, the only person I have ever called guru, and also to Sandi Graham. I don't know if she's trying to cut me off here, who I also consider guru. It is she who holds this whole thing together and makes it all happen from behind the scenes. I have never seen one person capable of doing so much. She is precise down to the last detail. I see Jeffrey nodding there. And we can thank her for the absolute beauty and perfection of this book. Together, Kavindra ji and Sandi ji really do embody the divine couple who serve and act in concert. I thank them both for the opportunity to work on this divine project. And we will see you at the first class on November 4th. Namaste.
I told you not to do that.
I know. See that? I told you I was going to.
Well, this brings our event to an end. And the other thing I wanted to mention for everybody that's on, we've launched the ebook today. It's every publisher would say, don't launch the ebook until you can get the book in the hands. But we wanted you to have a version so that you'll be on, you can join the classes. We're giving it away at $4.99 today on Amazon.com or Amazon.ca, and that's $4.99 Canadian. So for Americans, it's $3. It's not even a latte. So please go on, write a review. And we want to thank Satish, Sharma, Nilesh Oak. Jeffrey, do you have something to say? I know Satish here wants to say we're losing internet at a certain time.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, that narrators are famous in the Vedic civilization. The skill and nuance and understanding and grace that is necessary to play that role is so profound that it's often overlooked. But the eloquence of Satish not only was visible to us here now, but in his entire life, all the time, speaking on international issues of great import. He is a thought leader and an important voice in the world who embodies and personifies this wisdom just in the tones and ways that he talks. So truly a representative of Saraswati. And for Nilesh, the brilliance of what he has done and the amount of determination and the strength of his mental faculties to go to the very heart of the most difficult subject of astronomy, mathematics, the passage of large amounts of time, to organize all of that, then present it eloquently to the world, and that he agreed to support us and endorse the Gita Comes Alive. Such a great honor. And for Shri Manish, I know you're disguised as a diplomat, and I wouldn't want to change that. But I also could feel and see that underneath that is a heart that holds the well-being of the whole planet and has wishes for what Dharma is really about. So thank you for joining us as well. And to the rest of you, it's such a fulfillment of such a long-held dream. I just want to say to you that tears are the price of wisdom. There will be tear stains on your Bhagavad Gita if it really works. If it makes the pages tear, just get another one. But don't hold back the tears. It's the sign that the divine waters are flowing through you. They will heal you and make you whole again. That is the yogic baptism. You cry, at the divine wisdom. Thank you all.
Jeffrey Ji, thank you so much for those kind words. And before I too am reduced to a bubbling, crying wreck, there are just a couple of concluding thoughts that I just want to share. One, I'd like to give a shout out to Ramesh Bhuttadaji, who apparently has just placed an order for $1,000 worth of Gitas. And I can see that like a huge rock thrown into the middle of a pond, the ripples of those Gitas will go out in many, many directions. So Rameshji, thank you so much for that. And I just wanted to emphasize once again the membership program that you've talked about. As you were talking about it, a few thoughts occurred to me. One of those thoughts is that the Gita is a transformative text. And as somebody who has worked with it and read it repeatedly, there are a couple of things I noticed which a sadhak would probably be wise to bear in mind. And one is that when you're working with the Gita, when you learn something in theory, or you have an aha moment as you work with a teacher, watch, because what you have encountered in theory will manifest in front of you in practice. And sometimes it can be a surprise, and there are occasions I certainly can recall where you need somebody to handhold as you encounter the understanding as it dawns upon you. So that's a very, very important thought, which I think really emphasizes, and I'd encourage people to hold Jeffrey G's hand via the membership program. It will be necessary as the Gita unfolds in front of you. One last thing, which is a question that somebody had asked, and I think it's just worth noting. The benefit of the Gita, the biggest benefit, is knowing what to do at any moment, under any circumstances, without having to think about it. This is something that the Gita gives a person. If you think about it, Arjuna's journey was all about the discovery of what do I do next, and then knowing what to do it, and what to do, and just going ahead fearlessly to actually go ahead and do it. So although it's a book, it's also the book of who you are, and it will open doorways and it will open opportunities that you had never imagined possible. So those are my two gifts to the people who've joined us on this journey. And in concluding from my own point of view, I would just like to remind everybody that we have a shloka which should really be used in conclusion, and that is Asatoma Sat Gamaya Tamasoma Jyotir Gamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. And at this time, we need to be able to count on the Gita to take us on the journey of that particular shloka. I will leave it to Jeffrey Ji in his wisdom and at his own time to share with you what that actually means. Finally, Sandi Ji and Jeffrey Ji, from my own point of view, thank you so much for the opportunity and the honor of being able to participate and to contribute at what I am sure is going to be a seismic event that has just occurred. We're taught that a butterfly in Japan can cause a tsunami in California, that everything is connected. And I have absolutely no doubt that what we have just done is significantly more impactful than a butterfly fluttering its wings. So thank you so much for the honor and the opportunity of sharing this incredible evening with you. And as you know, I'm going to be working with you, and we're going to work together to try and really make the most enormous contribution that we possibly can with this wonderful, wonderful work. Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om.
I know that we promised to take Q&A, and I would like to take a couple, but I just wanted to say thank you to Vijay Palod. He just bought $1,008. And Chandak Ji in Chicago just purchased 6 cases. So thank you very much for that. It's very inspiring. So Andrea, do we have any questions that you have curated that we can, anybody?
Yes, we had several questions. And I'm picking out this one from Ambika Chauhan, who wants to know how to engage the younger generation in reading and learning about the Gita. Or does Jeffrey G feel that it's someone's natural calling and one will just come back home eventually? And she says she's asking as a mother who wants desperately to try to sow the seeds of Sanatan in her children growing up in this world of social media.
Very good question, and it's certainly one that Jeffrey and I work with all the time as we've been teaching the Hindu youth at Hindu youth camps for years. And we put together a YouTube, they've just been uploaded to YouTube. He specifically answers that question, and it's entitled The Bhagavad Gita Comes Alive for Hindu Youth. We also did one for Hindu families. We did one for yoga practitioners, for spiritual seekers, and for those of you working out in the world. So I invite everybody to go. They're only like 2 or 3 minutes. But it is very important for the youth, and this book is very easy to read.
Jeffrey G, if I can just comment on that briefly.
Yes, please do.
Working with the Gita creates a person who children want to emulate.
Yes.
And there can't be a better teaching than that. This is not an intellectual communication. It's something that communicates from the very being of the person you are. And we have imbibed so much from Jeffrey G and his being. And I think parents, Hindu parents or non-Hindu parents, it doesn't really matter. If you work with the Gita, the children will look up and they will say, wow, this is the sort of person I would like to know and be. How do I get there? And that's my experience as a father with younger children that seems to have worked. So that's my tuppence worth. Jeffrey G, please.
Well, that's absolutely so. And one more thing, which was the motivation behind this, Gita, is that in the most sincere way, all of the great lineages, and one of the greatnesses of the Vedic culture is that many different perspectives on great truths are a necessary correlate of examining it carefully and fully. So we do not debate with one another. We speak respectfully to one another, and we agree to differ so that we can learn. So far, each of the great Gitas that has come out from a lineage holding Acharya often, but they made purports between all the verses because they wanted to give the instruction on how to understand them. The only dilemma for that was for children, for anyone who just wants to read the verses. It makes the journey so difficult that you can only go 3 verses and you're exhausted because you've read 15 pages. So those Gitas are something that should be in your library to refer to plumb the depths of this wisdom. This Gita was written as if it was a jungle trail previously obscured with overgrowth that was trimmed so you could walk through it in 3 hours. And this will make the Gita so attractive to the young because they won't be overburdened with too much learning. And this is also true for everyone who has struggled through the Gita before. You'll now be able to go through it and absorb yourself completely in it, and you will not be distracted by anything. Not that those other teachings are distractions, but they are a distraction because when Arjuna and Bhagavan spoke, it was just them. And with this Gita, it's just them and you. Now, once you get it, you can go to 100 other beautiful Gitas and drink the deep wisdom that those acharyas have put as the explanations and purports. So this is the correct way to use the Gita Comes Alive. Let it bring you alive, let it come alive for you. And it is the personification of what Satish said from the Upanishads, asato ma, sadgamaya. From that which is not true, lead us to what is true. Tamaso ma, jyotirgamaya. From darkness, lead us toward the light of truth. And mrityorma amritam gamaya. Do not let us ever forget that we are immortal beings and should not be afraid. Thank you, Satish.
Somebody asked a question here, which I'll just clarify because they asked, what is the difference between the soft cover and the hard cover? No difference on the content whatsoever. The hard cover, well, the price for one thing, and the hard cover, beautiful gold gilded pages. It's just a better production as far as the quality of the paper and everything else that's in it. So it's a keepsake. It feels like a jewel you want to put on your altar. And the soft cover here, it's just so readable. You just want to touch it and go through it. We've left a lot of columns where you can write your notes or highlight if you like to do that in a book. It's an excellent book for yoga teachers, for their students. You can go through this very easily. It's a great teaching tool.
This one goes with you on the airplane. Best read at 20,000 feet. The other one sits on your altar, so that you
It's a little, the weight is.
adore it each morning.
All right. Is there one more question, Andrea?
Let's see. From Deepankar Mohanty, a work of this magnitude cannot be undertaken unless there is some divine blessing or intervention. What was Jeffrey G's moment where he realized that he is in safe hands and is on the right track?
To tell you the truth, in my gratitude for receiving the wisdom that has been my entire life, at age 23, as a hungry truth seeker, my guru gave me the keys to this remarkable wisdom and initiated me, inspired me, took me in, became my mother and father. As the saying goes, the Vedas are the mother and the guru is the father. So it is the desire to repay, to be of service somehow. And what I saw was in all of the accounts of the culture of Bharat being so damaged and so injured in so many ways. And being a historian, I studied this until I just bled with the bleeding and cried with the crying, till I felt it in every fiber of my being. And I thought, okay, what could I do? Well, by having high-level English language skills, I could undo the damage. That's all. So that the great rishis and sages of Bharat can be heard. So that became my hunger. And as I received the Vedic knowledge and learned the real meaning of the Sanskrit, then I looked diligently throughout English for ways to say that didn't compromise it, that didn't colonize it. So we who receive this knowledge have to be so careful to not colonize it, but to represent it with humility and seva. So that is what has motivated me, paying the rishis back by being of some useful service according to my best ability. And every one of us can do this with some skill we have. Just find the thing you do best. In spite of the world, do this. And you will find your path of both receiving, being nurtured and defined within with this great wisdom. And then you will find a way to say thank you.
I see somebody on screen here who has been with us for the last 23 years. He was probably one of the first people that Jeffrey met when he came to Vancouver, and that's Hari Singh. Hari Singh is from Yogi Bhajan's group. Hari Singh, can you say a word?
Gomkar Sadnam Siddhi Guru Vahe.
Well, I'll share something about Hari Singh. Hari Singh has a recording company, and from the very beginning, it was Hari Singh that recorded Jeffrey's classes in the old days when we had cassettes. And then, of course, we moved to MP3s, and now everything is video. So probably if Hari is still doing it, I think he still has a recording studio. The next thing, not the next thing, but somewhere down on my list is the audio version of Jeffrey actually speaking this Bhagavad Gita, but we have too much on our plate to do it. And I know Hari Singh has been waiting all of these years, just like us, for this book to be finished. So Hari Singh, oh, you are live. Hello.
Now I finally got unmuted.
Hi.
All right.
I know I haven't seen my beloved brother and sister for a while due to illness, but I am back.
Yay.
All right.
Teaching several times a week. I miss you. I love you. This is the culmination of such an incredible work. Humanity will remember this work for a long time. I will use it in my teachings, and I can't wait to see you. I want to go for a walk and a lunch and when you have the time to begin recording, I'm still anticipating that moment of being with you.
We too. Thank you, Hari.
Love to you all, and I will buy many copies.
Thank you.
Satnam.
Satnam.
Satnam. If you all don't entirely know this Sikh movement, that it is so mysterious often and so strong and full of integrity so often, is the group of Vedic practitioners who saved the culture of India at a certain time in its history. And they were the closest thing to personifying Arjun that anyone has seen in modern times. And that dignity and strength and integrity that you see about them, Omkar Satnam Siddhi Guru Wahi Guru Wahi. This is Guru Govind Singh, the great founder of that lineage. So thank you, Hari Singh.
Thank you. Chandak ji. Come on, say hello.
Hanuman ji.
Chandak has been a great advisor on this project and a great fundraiser for us. And he's just become my brother.
Come. I don't wish to talk much. This is one of the greatest moments in my humble life.
Oh.
And I feel blessed that I have come across Jeffrey ji and yourself. And I had a very good conversation with Satish ji and so many people here whom we heard. They've been wonderful Atmas, and so many people have contributed to this, and your love, your dedication for the Vedic philosophy and the Gita will go long, long way, I think, beyond our lives. Hopefully it becomes eternal as Gita is eternal. And I don't know what else to say, but I do want to thank my wife, Asha.
Always a great woman behind every great man. Hello, Asha.
Asha ji.
And my brother-in-law, my sister-in-law in New York, they always gave me unconditional support whenever I wanted to do something like this. So as humble as I am really thankful to all of you. And
well, I'm glad you have a big family that all these cases of books can go to.
They all are supportive of your work, and I didn't mention many of them. You know, my daughters, everybody. Okay, so thanks, and Hari Om, and all the best. May there be a peace and blessings all over the world because of your book and the way you spoke. I think just about everyone had tears in their eyes, Jeffrey ji, and they were tears of joy and of celebration. And I don't know what else to say. So, pranam, namaskar.
Namaskar.
Pranams ji.
Well, I could bask in this love all afternoon, but we are so over time. Satish ji.
I was just reveling in and trying to suppress a cuddle attack. And I'm sure there were others in the group who were also experiencing that. But I do think that there are some other questions which have come through. I've had one or two come through privately as well. But I would suggest to everybody that some of the questions are personal sadhana questions, and you really do need to sit with a teacher in order to be able to explore those. Although the answers may be similar for some people, they may be different for others as well for the same question. So please do take the initiative and sit with Jeffrey ji and Sandi ji on this journey. Apart from that, I think we've had a wonderful session, a wonderful evening, and I certainly have got another engagement to go to, but thank you so much, Sandi ji and Jeffrey ji. And I'd just like to give a shout out to everybody who's taken the trouble to join and to support this. You are at the beginning of something which is going to be remembered long after we've all disappeared and are back again, as Krishnji said. There was never a time when I was not, and nor were you. But no, thank you very much for giving it such a boost and giving it your blessings. Really, really appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy your day. Thanks to everyone who stayed up so late.
And just one more word for Nilesh ji. Nilesh, you are so strong and brave and quiet and humble and yet clear. So I know you are a Vedic Rishi who's come back, who promised to come back and be clear. So thank you so much for being in this project with us. And thank you to all of you who've contributed in any way, and for your loving friendship and this Sangha. This is precious. Hold it in your heart. Do not let the world make you cynical. Be a lover of truth, a lover of joy, and stay in the namaste mood and culture always. Even if someone else can't, just remember, you can only teach love by love. Thank you for being with us.
And we love you. Goodbye, everybody. Namaste.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Om Namah Shivaya.
Mm.